Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the virtual Meet the Grad Alumni and Industry Panel for Community Studies, Social Services, and Justice Studies program. My name is Trent Jarvis, and I'm a co-op specialist here at Mohawk College, and it's my great pleasure to be your host and moderator for today's Justice Studies panel discussion. Thank you to Mohawk students and recent graduates for joining us, of course, and we hope you enjoy learning about the career journeys of our panelists. They are varied, and their thoughts on how job seekers can engage in the current market. So before we begin our discussion, I'd like to introduce our alumni panelists. So when your name is called, please wave so folks know who you are. First, we have Rosalie. And let me just pull this up. Rosalie Cloutier graduated from Police Foundation's co-op program in 2020 and currently works for the Hamilton Police Service in a cadet role. Rosalie.
Hi.
And next we have Chris Lacono, is also a 2020 grad from the Police Foundation's co-op program and is furthering his education currently as an advanced security management postgraduate studies student here at Mohawk, and is an employee currently as well with Canada Border Services Agency. Chris?
Hi, everyone.
And Brandon Partridge graduated from Police Foundations in 2008. He has over 14 years of experience in the security field. And we are very pleased to also have Brandon has been an employer of our students over the years as well. Brandon is currently Client Services Manager with Paladin Security. Brandon?
Good afternoon, everyone.
And last but not least, we're joined by Jason Pride. Jason is a 2012 graduate of the Police Foundation's program as well. And since 2017, he's worked with the City of Hamilton Municipal Law Enforcement. Jason.
Hi, everyone.
Wonderful. Big thank you to our panelists for joining us here this evening. There's some varied experience, and just a shout out to students who are joining us from programs other than Police Foundations. It just so happens to be that it turned out we had PF grads with us on our panel this evening. However, our students in protection, security, and investigation, community and justice services, advanced police studies, and advanced security management. These are all relevant crossover roles. And Chris, maybe at some point along the way, I might pick your brain on how you went from Police Foundations to advanced security management rather than advanced police studies. So we'll touch on that just as we move along a little bit, okay? So everyone, we'll have about 25 to 30 minutes here just with our panelist discussion. At which point we will take questions from the group at around 5:15 or so. And we'll run for about 15 minutes or so on that. And then we'll be moving on to the next segment of the program for this evening. So in terms of questions, I'm just going to start out for our panelists. At what point in your journey did you feel you were beginning your current career development? And I'll go to Rosie on this one. In other words, was it in your third semester of your program? Was it when you became a graduate? Was it when you were 13 years old? At what point did you realize you were on a career path?
For me, I think I realized back in high school when I finally decided I wanted to go with a law enforcement career. Because at that point I realized I had to start focusing on volunteerism and building my resume up. So I kind of been career focused for this kind of direction since high school.
Wonderful, wonderful. Anyone else? Chris, you want to comment on the same question? At what point in your journey did you feel that you were beginning your career development?
About the same time frame. I had been in Scouts Canada for many years, over a decade, and I've always lived my life with service and duty as very strong values. So I want to continue that, give back to my community, help make my country and my community safe.
Wonderful. Brandon, Jason?
Yeah, I've always, sorry, Brandon.
No, go ahead.
I've always wanted to get into law enforcement, just didn't really know exactly what path I wanted to take. I just knew I wanted to be in law enforcement. Probably taking law in high school is when I really thought, okay, this is kind of something for me, just learning about the different laws and whatnot. And then of course, taking the Police Foundations program was kind of where it really sunk in, saying like, yeah, this is definitely for me. This is something that I'd love to get into one day.
And Brandon, finally.
For myself, growing up, my father was a member of the Brantford Police Auxiliary, and an uncle of mine was a longtime member of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. So, I grew up watching specifically my uncle, perform some of his work here and some of the stories, which really got me interested in the field. Growing up watching cops as well, I know it's nothing like what you see on TV, which you learn as time goes on, but it always had me interested, and it kind of geared me towards the Police Foundations program and kind of my career decision from there.
So we're hearing from our panelists here today that they had an idea of getting in prior to even coming to Mohawk College, that they had an idea of what they were doing. So if I might just, and this will be open to our panelists, was there a point within your program where you realized how much more opportunity was available besides what you got into the program for?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different courses that are classes that you take within the course where it just kind of opened your eyes. I think, oh, there's a lot. I didn't really know what the program was. You think just Police Foundations, you think just police, but there's a lot of different classes that we took where it just kind of opened your eyes, where you just kind of think, okay, maybe there is different avenues you can take. Law and security, for example. Myself, I didn't even know bylaws really existed until you kind of get yourself familiar with it. And that's where I ended up. So, and I love it.
So maybe we'll just open that up just a little bit then, Jason. So what has your career path been like since graduating? I mean, you're now in municipal law enforcement, and recognizing, like you identified, that municipal law enforcement is a very, very brief component of discussion within our justice studies programs. Yet it's a huge industry in any town or city across Canada. So can you describe for some of our visitors today, what municipal law enforcement entails, and what a career in that field might be like?
Yeah, so municipal law enforcement, I mean, if anyone wants to look, you can just look up your local bylaws online. There's a ton of different bylaws that, I mean, I've been on for about 4 years now. There's still bylaws that I'm still learning. So there's a lot to it. It is very similar to policing, if that's kind of the path that some people do want to take. Instead of enforcing criminal laws, you're basically enforcing municipal laws. So there's the property standards bylaw. You're working a lot hand in hand with tenants and property managers. There's the zoning bylaw, where you're kind of looking at, that's more of looking at kind of industries and like residentials and whatnot. So you're kind of looking at, I don't enforce the zoning bylaw too much, but for example, you don't want like a shipping containers in residential areas. So that's more so like the zoning bylaws. There's the noise bylaw, which was perhaps one of my favorites because you do work a lot with the Hamilton Police. We do a ride along with the Hamilton Police. So that's every Thursday, Fridays, and Saturday nights. That's year round, 52 weeks of the year, where you do a lot of ride-ons with the police. That's a great experience for me. That was where I started, and that's where I pretty much fell in love with my job. So I still do it the odd time, but like you said, there's a small component to municipal law that's being taught, but there's so much more to it. I would definitely recommend anyone just kind of look up their local bylaws. It's different in every municipality, sorry, just to kind of figure out if this is something for you. I would highly recommend it for sure.
Wonderful. And you know what, if you don't mind, panelists, maybe I'll get you to describe each of the industries that you're in. Rosie, for example, you spent some time in municipal law enforcement as well. However, you're now with Hamilton Police. Could you give us a minute or two on both of those experiences?
But yeah, for like my co-op stream, like Trent just said, I started as a Hamilton Police volunteer, and then the municipal law enforcement spot opened up for the graffiti position. So when I got in, it was the end of the program, but it was a 2-year gig, and I basically learned the graffiti. And I found with speaking to victims of crime, so basically any of the people who've been targeted by graffiti, I found that to be really useful for now talking to people on the job as a police cadet with victims in like a different sense. So like you kind of learn how to speak to people, and like your people skills and communication skills develop like widely in any kind of career path.
Excellent. And Chris, you have a bit of a unique role as well, working with Canada Border Services Agency. Have you been on the TV show yet?
No, I have not been featured yet. My area of expertise is in our postal stream. So I work out of the Gateway Postal Office in Mississauga with Canada Post. And what I do is inspect all the incoming parcels and some of the outgoing ones.
So with respect to parcels, what type of thing is Canada interested in understanding, what's legal and what's not?
So a big part of this is federal law and working with other government agencies to understand their policies and laws as well. So with CBSA, we enforce over 90 pieces of federal legislative authority, and that can be anywhere from CFIA to Heritage Canada to Canada Post's mandates. And what we do is we inspect incoming parcels and we evaluate for the obvious duties and taxes, but we're also checking for things like weapons, drugs, even just parcels that seem sketchy, and we'll take them and we'll examine them and determine the action that we're going to take with them.
Wonderful. Thanks for sharing that. Brandon, your area of employment and experience is vast and broad. Do you care to comment on the security industry, investigations, things like that?
So one thing I found when I started in the security industry and over the years I've been in the industry is it's not just your basic security guard that is available. There are so many different areas that you can experience, so many different verticals in the industry. So myself, I've worked in the uniform security industry. So your basic security guard, your mobile patrol. I've worked as a private investigator before. I've done retail loss prevention, internal investigations, special events security, and operations management. So a little bit of everything, just because there is so much out there, and there's some areas I haven't had the opportunity to experience, such as say armored car service. Haven't had any experience with that as of yet, but it just allows you to gain experience in all aspects of the industry, which is something I really like about it.
Wonderful. So, I mean, these days we know that nothing is really as it was just over a year ago. So in line with that, Brandon, maybe we'll stick with you on this one. Are there trends in additional education or training that employees would need to acquire in order to function more adequately, as time goes on? Can you comment on additional training and certifications?
So, I always encourage people, if there is a training course or an opportunity for additional training, the opportunity to learn something new, always take it. I've always believed in that myself. As the world changes, threats increase, the industry is starting to shift more towards the technological security aspect of things as well. So trying to gain experience in both the physical and the technological end of things. Myself, I've stuck more to the physical security. I'm currently pursuing my certified protection professional designation through ASIS International. I've gone through and I'm certified in Wicklander interview and interrogation, which comes in very handy in internal investigations, HR investigations, retail loss prevention. And then you have your more hands-on courses in the physical security end of things, such as NVCI, Nonviolent Crisis Intervention Training, MOAB, management of aggressive behavior, use of force, spontaneous edge weapon defense training. There's just a ton of training opportunities out there.
Great.
There's nothing I would really say that I would discourage anyone from taking. Take any opportunity you can.
Perfect. Jason, can I ask, with your employment with the City of Hamilton and Municipal Law Enforcement, is training a component, ongoing training a component of the job that you have? And do you have the option of doing something a little more or less, or going this route or that route within your organization?
Yeah, for sure. So for me, just police foundations was enough for a starter. And then once you do get hired, all officers go through, there's two separate courses. There's the Municipal Law Enforcement Officers course. That's two parts to it. So it's once a year for 2 years. And then there's the Ontario Association of Property Standards. That is a 3-year course. It's just a week. So you just go once a year for a week. So all officers have the opportunity to take that. Once you get these courses, you then become a certified officer. And then just adding to what Brandon said, any additional training that would really just kind of benefit you, for sure, definitely recommend. I'm going through, I never thought I would ever actually take this course, a drone training course in the next, I believe it starts in the next 3 weeks, it starts. So that'll be beneficial. Just the way Brandon said it, it's kind of things are just changing technology. So that'll be interesting to see how we could use that in our job.
Exactly. That's wonderful. Property standards, it would be excellent, getting in behind buildings and that kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
I can
And then
tell
once,
you, yep.
once you take these courses, it's officers from all around Ontario. So it's very busy. You get to meet a lot of people and kind of brainstorm different ideas of things to come up with, and it's a great experience for sure. It's a lot of fun.
Wonderful. Rosie, you're currently a cadet with Hamilton Police. What's next? And how do you get there?
Sorry to cut you off there, Trent.
I was just saying you're a cadet at this point. So what's next and how do you get there in terms of additional learning, or how do you get to the next level beyond cadet within Hamilton Police Service?
Okay, just to give you kind of a brief explanation of the cadet program. So it's a 2-year contract and there are 6-month rotations. So every 6 months you get switched out to a new placement, and that placement can be anywhere in the service from any kind of spot really. So my first position was on C Squad in Central, and I'm now with Eastern, so I'm on patrol again. And the expectation is within those 2 years you apply sworn. So within the next 6 months, I plan on applying to sworn and becoming an actual like officer. And then like just for educational means, I just finished like the Police Foundations program, so I'm okay for education right now. But down the road, like I might look into courses here and there. Through HPS, all the members have access to CPKN courses. So they're online training videos that we can watch for like a number of topics.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. And Chris, you are a Police Foundations grad and a current student while you're working with CBSA. So talk to us just a little bit about why you felt that additional education in advanced security management might help you.
Well, everything that Brandon and Jason and Rosie have said are super true. Training, education, they go a long way. And in my course of study, so CBSA, that's my career interest, we focus a lot on security. So Police Foundations was a good backbone, and advanced security management just gives you a more focused understanding of how the security industry works. And when you combine the two, you get a really good understanding of how to enforce laws, private security, and just how to survive in the industry in general.
Wonderful, wonderful. It sounds like you're on the right track for sure there. And when it comes to additional education and certifications and so on, just for our audience members, I'm a co-op specialist for justice studies programs at the college, and I've seen lots and lots of students come through. It's been very inspiring. I've gone back to school myself, and you know, when we're talking about these organizations and industries, whether it's in the security, municipal law enforcement, policing, broader the national CBSA, for example, consider looking for very large industries to work in. For example, when I was a student at Mohawk College back in the many years ago, I started cutting grass at Mohawk College. I was a summer student. Since then, I've been here a few decades. I've had 15 different jobs within my organization, and it's come in large part from additional training and certification. So I've been going to school forever. And our panelists are examples of how to excel there. So let me ask, panelists, is there anything that you are finding in your own fields that are current trends, or any attitudes, or what's happening in your sector that you think our fellow students here and our guests would be interested in hearing? I'll throw that over to the panel.
I'll start just everything that's going on in the world with COVID. So bylaw has pretty much kind of taken the lead on this. So it's, again, one thing I never thought that would be kind of enforcing, but enforcing all the ROAs, so the Reopening Ontario Act, the emergency measures. It's definitely an eye opener of kind of how things can change. So like you said, things are shifting quite often. So it is interesting to see that. I never thought that we'd be enforcing a pandemic. So it is kind of interesting to see how that's all shaped up to be.
Jason, it's must be a bit of a challenge, sort of learning over again what human behavior is like.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I remember when this first started, you're going to people's houses just for simple barbecues. When this first started, no one really kind of knew where this was going or how to enforce it. And never thought it'd be enforcing just two people hanging out having a barbecue. So things can change quickly, for sure.
Exactly. Yeah, and all of you, our panelists here, are experiencing similar things in their organizations. But something, as our guests are here with us, is there any particular from each of you? Maybe we'll go back and start with Rosie. Rosie, is there a particular piece of advice that you can share, or a bit of knowledge that you wish you had known at the start of your program? Or the start of your career, and maybe because we have fellow students in with us here today, the start of your program. Is there something you wish you knew then that you know now?
I wouldn't necessarily that I wish I knew. I think the way I did the program and like my kind of career path, I think kind of suits me and like my kind of lifestyle. Just advice going forward for future students looking to get into this kind of career path. I think like the main thing is make sure you're volunteering. Like it's a huge thing. I know for Hamilton Police, they look highly on it, and depending on whatever service you're trying to get into or branch, just get to know what their qualities are, what do they value, like stuff like that. Just know the service, and then again, make good connections. So if you're good in school, like you have good relationships with your teachers because you're going to need them for references down the road.
Make an excellent point on references. Make sure that they are good references for our students watching here today, and requesting that an individual acts as a reference rather than just using them. Excellent point, Rosie. Chris, what about you? Is there something you wish to impart with your student peers here today?
Well, I don't have any thing that I wish I knew, and that's because I did my research. I'd say the biggest piece of advice I can give to you guys is just do your research on where you want to work, and also reflect on yourself. Reflect on your own interests, reflect on your career goals in general. And from there, keep an open mind, look at different services, different industries, and try to pick what best suits your needs, even if that means suiting your interests now. And then your career interests might change over time, and that's okay. You can switch with ease once you're hired on to one of these career paths.
Wonderful. Thank you for that, Chris. And Brandon, is there something in particular that you wish to share with our students here today about what a key learning or from when you graduated in the program in 2007?
So I felt Mohawk actually did prepare me quite well for the industry I was going into. As I went through my career, I did learn a little more about additional opportunities that were available, um, say within just the security industry. The big piece of advice I would give, though, don't be afraid to meet new people. Networking is very key. Um, you may not know the person. I always like to draw people towards something like LinkedIn, for example. Just because you don't know the person doesn't mean you can't strike up a conversation, because in the end, it could lead to, an opportunity, whether it be a career opportunity, a mentorship opportunity. Don't be afraid to get out there, meet new people, and experience new things.
That's an excellent point. All of you expressed to some extent a degree of networking. And that's what's going to get you comfortable enough to explain your own set of skills and your own desires. And as Chris mentioned, the self-reflection, right? Understanding what it is that you want to do and how you can contribute to the community. Lynn, how are we doing on time? Are we okay so far?
We're doing great.
Excellent.
At this point, we can open it up for questions.
Wonderful.
So I invite our participants who are joining us today, feel free to pop a question in the chat box. We haven't received any, we just received one now. So we can start with this one. So a question for Brandon. Thank you to all for the presentation today. My question is, I'm graduating with a diploma in community and justice services. I've worked as a security guard in the past, but 5 years ago, I found NCR, not criminally responsible, of an offense. Am I eligible to work as a security guard, or will my NCR stand as a barrier? Thank you.
So for a situation like that, I would suggest you check out the ministry's website. Depends on the offense, whether it will disqualify you from obtaining or reobtaining your Ontario security license. There are some offenses on there, the less serious ones, that will still qualify you for a license. But again, it all depends on the offense. But I would direct you to go to the ministry's website, where it does have a list of those offenses, or even give them a call to inquire.
Great, thank you, Brandon. Any other questions from our audience? Just give it a minute, and feel free, if you prefer to just turn your mic on, you're more than welcome to do that as well. We'll just give it another minute.
Sure. In the meantime, from our panelists, what's the next step, do you think, in your particular job? Is there something that you're focused on down the road? Chris, maybe we could, you're at the top of my screen, so I'm going to ask you first.
Sure. So I've gone through ASM, currently on the road to graduating in the next couple of weeks. I'm still currently applying with CBSA, both internally and externally. Overall, I think my career interest is going to go towards the government. I'm also looking at the security industry. Just try something else in the meantime. I know that the process can take a while.
Wonderful. Jason, yourself?
Yeah, so I've been on for 4 years now, so I'm now considered a senior officer. So that would be the highest that we could go, just as a bylaw officer. However, I would love to eventually get into management one day, and that's definitely my career path. But being a city employee, there's many different jobs that you meet people throughout the city. There's different departments you can get involved in. For example, like the building department, growth management, whatever you so choose to do, there's a ton of different avenues within the city that I would definitely recommend.
So if I may, Jason, because you work with a huge organization, the City of Hamilton, can you explain to our guests here today what it means to be an internal employee of such a huge organization, and how you have access to those other positions compared to someone like myself who does not work for the City of Hamilton?
Yeah, so I was trying to apply to this job for, I was applying for about 2 to 3 years. City of Hamilton will hire internal candidates or look at internal candidates first. And what that means is that you're already hired with the city, you have a valid city ID number. So what I did, I picked up a part-time job just working at the hockey arenas. You get your city number that way. And then the first time I applied, I got the job. So if it's something that you want to get into with the city long term, I would definitely just recommend even just like a park job, anything really. It's on the City of Hamilton website. Every Thursday jobs get posted and it'll say internal or external. So any student or any external candidate that wants to get in with the city, I would definitely just recommend just getting a job and getting your number. And then you can kind of look to what you really want to do.
Excellent. Appreciate that. Brandon, your organization and your industry is huge. You talked a little bit about the armored car presence. And would that be somewhere you actually want to engage in at some point in time?
At some point in time, I would like to at least experience it. I know the company I currently work for doesn't offer that service as of yet, but there is talk of us launching the service here in Ontario. You know, with Paladin, we have the technology end of things. We have the investigations division as well. So, you know, the opportunity to move into another division or move up within the current division, you know, there's always opportunities coming up. So there's lots of options for the future.
Perfect. And it sounds like your Mohawk College education was an excellent launching point for this industry.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Rosie, at the at the cadet level at this point in time, can you tell our guests what the next level will be for you and the sequential steps to becoming a full-fledged constable?
Okay, so the next step for me would again be the sworn position, so constable. Because I've already done most of the like introduction, like interview process things. I don't have to do all those again for the sworn process. I just have to repeat like behavioral, like the panel and like the fitness, and then you kind of go through that. So depending on if you've already got a foot in the door with Hamilton Police, they can kind of overstep some of the process pieces, like depending on like what you have or don't have.
So it sounds to me like you've been working on your policing career while you've been working in your policing career.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
It's sort of nonstop. You're always on the move towards the next step and understanding what the organization is interested in and how you can train to move within. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, that's actually a very good point, Chen. Because in my role, I'm kind of at a spot where all eyes are on you at all times. Like you have the like deputy, you have all your superintendents, you've got your staff sergeants, you have your sergeants, you have just your regular members. And depending on if you do a good job or not, or the things that people see in you, they actually reach out to the recruiters and give good feedback and like reference letters to you. So say I did something good, somebody will reach out to them and just say, hey, just add us to the file. Like this is just something to keep track of or keep in mind of when she does go for the sworn position. So like there's always eyes on you and like you have to be conscious of that at all times.
Wonderful. And so it strikes me that the four of you on our panel today are working in industries where they are sort of, well, they are paramilitary organizations where there is hierarchy and chain of command and things like that. And where we're sort of in an environment where, you know, we want to be able to express ourselves as well as possible within the workplace. How does that, how do you correlate that with chain of command and, you know, senior officers and so on? Brandon, can I start with you on that one?
Yeah, sorry, my computer started to freeze a little bit. Are you able to just repeat it? It cut out a little bit on me.
Sure. We're just asking, you know, how the chain of command in sort of paramilitary organizations works and what the expectation should be of new graduates coming into your types of environments.
So with the security industry, every company is a little bit different when it comes to chain of command. I find the company I'm with now, it's more of the family environment. There's not that fear of, okay, this person is my boss. You still want to be respectful to those people, but there's a big difference. Like for myself, I have about 120 staff that report to me. There's a big difference of having that I'm your boss mentality compared to I'm a coworker of yours mentality. So, again, you always want to be respectful to your superiors, as it comes in very handy down the road. But at the same time, they gotta show the same level of respect and be able to assist
Sure.
through your career development as well.
Yeah, appreciate it. I'm going to get one more comment on this, if we may, from Jason. Jason, how does it work with you expressed that you're a senior level officer right now. So, for example, with those who are not senior level officers, can you discuss how that dynamic is within your organization?
Yeah, so for seniors, it's all just seniority. So once you get certified, you're pretty much considered a senior. And then so there's the officers, the supervisors, manager, and the director. So I have a great relationship. I'd like to think I have a great relationship with all of them. But like Brandon said, respect is huge. Anyone higher than you, even if they say, do this and you don't necessarily agree with it, I highly recommend just doing it unless it's a safety issue. But
Of course.
just be very, very respectful to them. It'll pay off in the long run.
Wonderful. Thank you so much to our panelists, Rosie, Chris, Brandon, Jason, and to the Alumni Association and Lynn for supporting us here today.